coming up in today's video. Follow along as I bake my own Samhain recipe for ghost pumpkin cake. For this, you will need 425 grams of pumpkin, 240 grams of plain flour, 42.5 grams of vegan unsalted butter, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 150 grams of white sugar, 90 grams of brown sugar, 90 grams of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon powder, 1.5 teaspoons of ground ginger, a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg powder, half a teaspoon of allspice, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of soya milk, 4 tablespoons of water, 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 240 milliliters of vegetable oil, 90 grams of walnuts, 45 grams of dried cranberries, 45 grams of raisins, and a heart full of pure intention. Samhain has just passed, and I recently received a lovely little gift, a ghost pumpkin from my niece and nephew. If you've never heard or seen one of these before, they're actually pretty much the same as your classic orange pumpkins, just generally a pale white or grey colour, and technically they're actually a variety of winter squash, but to me, a pumpkin they still are. They've been gaining popularity in the UK the past few years, and not just as a fun little spooky cooking treat for the season, but they're also much loved for use in pumpkin painting crafts, as their ghostly white makes for the perfect canvas. As for me and my spooky one, I will be making a ghost pumpkin cake. I love seeing how ghostly this is. First, we need to make some pumpkin puree. I'll also keep these pumpkin seeds to roast later for Mr. Squirrel. He absolutely adores them. I wonder if he'll prefer these ghostly ones to the regular. Ghost pumpkins are also known by a few other names: grey pumpkins, albino pumpkins, and also snowball pumpkins. I like to call this recipe Snowball pumpkin cake when making one during Yuletide. To make the puree, we will first need to roast the ghost pumpkin in 2 halves. Placing them on a tray, I carefully prick the outside with a knife before baking. Time to pop them in the oven for 51 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius and relax with some poetry whilst I wait. With them beautifully roasted, it's time to peel and chop them into smaller pieces. Ghost pumpkins taste almost the same as traditional orange pumpkins and have similar nutritional benefits. They have a low calorie count and contain plenty of beneficial nutrients such as iron, potassium and calcium. Time to pop them in the blender. Now to drain the excess water in a small sieve before transferring our pumpkin puree to a container. One can leave these to just naturally drain for a few minutes. In a bowl, add 240 grams of plain flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon powder, 1½ teaspoons of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, ½ teaspoon of allspice, a teaspoon of salt, 150 grams of white sugar, 90 grams of brown sugar, and mix. In a small cup, add 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, 5 tablespoons of water, and mix. In another bowl, add 425 grams of our pumpkin puree. Our now thickened flaxseed mix, (240 milliliters of vegetable oil), 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and mix. Time to add our wet mix to our dry mix and stir. Crush 90 grams of walnut. They don't need to be crushed too finely, just into smaller chunks so that you still get that crunch. Add this into our mix, along with 45 grams of raisins and 45 grams of dried cranberry, and mix. Pour into a greased round tray and smooth over with a spatula. Then bake in the oven for half an hour at 180 degrees Celsius. With our cake baked, it's time to flip it onto a plate and leave to cool whilst we make some vanilla frosting. For this, we will add 42½ grams of unsalted room temperature vegan butter into our mixer. Give it a whip. Then add 90 grams of powdered sugar, along with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And 1 teaspoon of soya milk. Whip this all together and voila! Vegan vanilla frosting. I thought it would be nice to have a white vanilla frosting coating to give this ghost pumpkin cake a spookier feeling. Or if it's Yuletide, to give my Snowball pumpkin cake a snowy glow. And with a bippity-boppity-boo, our ghost pumpkin cake is done. This is one of my favourite treats of the season. It tastes a little like carrot cake and always brings back memories of my childhood. I'm sure Mr. Squirrel would love to sink his teeth into this one, and I hope you will enjoy this one too. Thank you for joining along with me on today's journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe and comment for more content. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! Samhain, Samhain, we honor all our kin. We honor those who've gone before as the great world turns again. Samhain, Samhain, we honor all our kin. We honor those who've gone before as the great wheel turns again.